Yeah, and so I think with me, I tend to get bored and kind of like yearn for some kind of adventure. I've always been like that, even if it proves a little bit hairy or dangerous. And I don't mean I do bad things or anything. Often it is, might be, yeah, just something unusual, or it might be, looking for justice for something, that kind of thing, and just go for it, not hold back. So something, wild stuff goes on and things. But it is just, yeah, so I've been here, just since March 2021, and we had all the pandemic, and all the lockdowns, and really, a lot of restrictions didn't end until, I don't know, early this year, February 2022, stuff like that, God knows what's coming next, I don't think all that is really over with, but we will see. Um, yeah, and but how it can manifest, because I was very much a national newspaper magazine journalist, and um doing all sorts of stuff, and bringing things to light, exposing stuff, kind of like a fair bit of justice going on. But I remember I'd run into trouble, and this wouldn't have been in an Ash, they wouldn't have let me do it, but I knew people at the Sun, Britain's biggest tabloid, Guido Fawkes news site, and all that, and yeah, so like Elton John had it in for me at one time, and that got very hairy, because really, there's two sides to a story. To me, I was being a naughty schoolboy, which I think some, you kind of are as a journalist. You just determine get that story, expose the hypocrisy, and all that, and you see it as justice. But as a anarcho capitalist come libertarian, then it would go against my philosophy of just leave people to it unless they bother you directly, but yeah, I got him, yeah, because it was just kind of the hypocrisy. I believe he'd been up to, he was presenting this image as family man and all that, and he'd been up to stuff. I think it was some sort of swimming pool incident, and it was well known about, and that's up to him, obviously, as an anarcho capitalist sort of anarchist, you just wouldn't care. But I thought, so that story. But what happened was then he got all the money he got courts, put in for injunction on anybody mentioning it anywhere, certainly the media and or people like me. And I was talking to people at the Sun newspaper, Guido Fawkes, all that, and they, I decided to just put the story out, and yeah, and they were going, yeah, you'll be all right. Yeah, the court, no way the court's gonna like put that through. They're just not gonna do an injunction. So I merrily got on with that, but they still didn't do it. They hung back, and I didn't. And so next thing, court rules injunction, and I'm thinking, right, and then the Sun and Guido are going, I don't know, you'd probably be all right, I don't know. And what happened was, I think the West Ham Football Club, like soccer, one of the big British football teams, I'd stuck it on somewhere, and they shared it, and it just took off massively, and the site I'd got, website, was just like 100,000 unique hits a day. I just went crazy, and I wasn't prepared for that. I didn't expect that, and so and really I wish I'd started, if I'd been prepared for it, I'd have been ready with a news site, because that would have been like the best. That would have been what I'd have done. I'd have been really happy like that, like Drudge, Matt Drudge Report, and you've got new ones like Revolver. And yeah, I like that. And but anyway, Elton John knew who I was, because I'd already like reported on things quite legitimately, actually about him. Some curious kind of more mystical stuff about him too that I'd unearthed, and But no one was going to get upset about that. But he was upset about this, and I think it wasn't just me. There was it wasn't just me who came in for it at all. But I think he'd already, I think, thought, oh yeah, teach him a lesson probably. And so I got lawyers. It must have been email because they wouldn't have had my street address. And and there was threats of $1 million in fines, lawsuits, just take you out, absolutely take you out. And they knew it, and Elton John knew it. So I mean, that actually is scary when you get that, because you think, God, it's got serious now. And they wanted everything taken down, everything, including RSS feeds. So they knew what they were doing. And I think that's why I realised it got serious, because they mentioned the RSS. And I thought, they're serious. They know what they're doing. So, I was I thought I freaked out a bit. I thought I was going to have to take it all down, including the RSS. So I did. And luckily it went away without further ado. But that's just kind of one of the things I've actually done quite a lot. I mean, it's a huge amount of stories, where, you just sort of, I don't know, maybe my personality just get bored. Let's do something wild and things, and it makes life more fun. So at the moment I'm in one of those kind of mind states of like, God, we need to kick up some action and make something be happening. So, God, and actually now, since March 2020, it's a risky business, because I think it's not serious, but it is for some people. But I'm told, I'm on some lists to keep an eye on, security services, just like, because you can't say anything now, at all, that goes against the official narratives. People have been cancelled just massively. Alex Jones hit with huge fine. They decided to really lay into him in the end. So it's just endless people. Doctors, many, prestigious doctors with lots of peer-reviewed articles and things like that. Just completely vilified. And I'm just on just keep an eye, and that's just because I speak out, but I'm not it's only if something took off that I take an interest. But there's people I know that are seriously on them, that things have taken off. So we're almost in communist, like the Soviet Union was, now, where you've got to toe the line, otherwise you're in trouble, and so I mean, it's beyond belief. I mean, if you use Google Drive, and the suite of things like Google Docs, Google Sheets, well, Google Docs is absolutely excellent, especially for collaboration. I mean, probably nothing beats it. It's really good software, cloud online. Problem is, and it was really great. I mean, I was in there before even Google bought it. I forget what it was called, but some lot had made it. This was years ago, 2005 or something like that, or before. Thought, even then it was really good. But so you can be using Google Docs. Remember, it's private. You're writing something that might just be for your company or your friends, whatever. Sure, it might be something you publish, as a PDF, goes out as a paid for newsletter like investors do. So it could see the light of day, but it's essentially meant to be private, yours. And now Google's system reads what you're writing. You say something that doesn't fit the narrative, in the outside political world, it flags you and says, that's not, says something like you've written something you shouldn't, and that you can contact them about it. And so there's censorship. I mean, it's beyond belief. It is very communist, like Soviet Union, or Eastern Bloc that was. because it's supposed to be software that you do what the hell you like with. That's the idea. And no. Yeah, absolutely isn't. And and that's the thing with Google. A lot of their stuff is extremely good. I mean, YouTube is very well done. Now, it's quite incredible. That's why you can't really match it if you set up a video online video company. Because they got the money and the programmers, and so Google Docs, I mean, there are some contenders. I mean, obviously you got the Microsoft version, Kill Gates, but do you want to use Kill Gates stuff as well? You probably zap you with some, deadly, injection straight through your computer or something. I mean, it's... yeah, so they're much of a muchness. Probably the Microsoft version's as good or nearly, but the Google one is really good. But finding people that give you privacy and is really good for that is actually hard to do. There are some contenders though, but the point being is, now you start getting up to anything, like me saying, kind of get bored and kind of want some adventure and make things happen. Well, very likely to, especially if it goes against the narrative that's, insisted upon by governments, the technocracy, World Economic Forum, all the rest of it, the globalists. You're in trouble basically. But nevertheless, I'm going to forge forwards, and I'll see what I do decide to get up to. I mean, I've got quite a few ideas, and I mean, this is the problem because, of how to wind up this totalitarian globalist push. I mean, obviously it's a bit dangerous doing that, but I've thought of a few things, kind of to destabilize. I shouldn't even be saying that, just looking to destabilize. I mean, why is this video on Odyssey? Because Odyssey is, free speech, and the technology is very good. It doesn't match Google, so you have to do a bit yourself. And actually, I'm going to do that. I need to work out what's the absolute best format for Odyssey. Whereas Google does it all, YouTube does it all for you. But why on Odyssey? Well, because I don't know if they're actually anarchists, but they have that ethos, free speech, no government, I believe. And I don't know how they stand on that, but they're certainly along the lines of anarcho capitalist libertarians, so that's good, because you're not going to say, you're not going to be I mean, this is the thing, so it's so crazy what's going on, because some of the people, Odyssey FBI, were, watching the videos now because they think, and it's crazy because some of the people I follow, such as Dollar Vigilante, who's Jeff Berwick, Jeff Berwick, I say, he does his videos, they walk and talk, and he's a very personable sort of chap. Got his dog Lucy with him, and he does her voice, so it's funny, but yes, he's calling out what's going on massively because he's an anarcho-capitalist anarchist, but and his Dollar Vigilante's really good, and the crypto vigilante always was. But it's, I mean, comes across very personal, as far as he's concerned, it's the apocalypse, but we might as well have some fun, And he also talks about the meditation stuff he does, and that's really interesting. He comes out with some excellent things. So the FBI are watching that. Yeah, sure, he's going on about, what's going on, the whole corruption, that just complete, tyranny that's happening. Yeah, sure, but... you'd think the FBI watching would think, well, he's a nice guy, he's just saying this stuff, it's his opinion, there should really be free speech. No, presumably not. Or maybe they do think, he's a nice guy and all that, I'm just doing my job, so I'll watch this and enjoy it. But they've got no great reason to flag him, at all, because he's cleared off to Mexico with his family and his dogs. The idea is to get out of the way of the apocalypse, pretty much. So, he's not like rallying forces to take on the World Economic Forum, kill Gates, International Monetary Fund, whoever, bring down, he's not doing that. So it's just amazing, because what it is, they don't want these dissenting voices, and perhaps the more personable, more amusing and appealing they are, it's worse, because if it spreads and someone says, oh, you got to watch this really good videos, and then more normies actually say, yeah, as good as this true, it can't be, can it? It's just mad, isn't it? And like, no. And I suppose then it'd be non-compliance, and the whole edifice of this narrative of tyranny would fall apart. So so I guess that's what's going on. Yeah, the FBI definitely watch Odyssey. I mean, obviously they YouTube and the fact checkers. All these people being watched. And that's if you use Google, Facebook, Twitter, or stuff like that. You've got Microsoft Windows on your computer. I mean, basically there'd be algorithms, monitoring. That's why you'd use Linux. MX Linux is really good, but you choose what you like. Linux Mint's good. And you basically use privacy with your messaging, not Facebook, none of that, not WhatsApp, use Signal Messenger. Telegram, Signal is end-to-end encryption, so is like first class. Edward Snowden recommends it. Telegram is not end-to-end encryption. There's a lot of good security going on there, but of course in the end the people that run Telegram could access your stuff, whereas Signal, they can't. So if CIA says, look, we've got to access this stuff, then Signal are going to say, okay, well, we're all going to be like trying to get through the encryption, including us. We can't access what our users do. All right. And so there's a lot of that going on. There's a lot of quite good software out there, but some of it's got to come to prime time, based around blockchain, and so if you go into some things, they might just like pack up, you can't be sure, like something to replace Dropbox. I'm not sure. There's quite a few contenders, but so I've been getting rid of stuff hugely, really, but there's some stuff like Dropbox probably got to keep for the time being. No, Dropbox is very good and all that, but it's like, you want the end-to-end encryption, you want complete privacy, not because you've got anything to hide. Part of it is just on principle, and also whistleblowers like Edward Snowden, you're supporting them by supporting privacy and security, and so we need people like Edward Snowden, so that's a big reason for doing that. And of course cryptocurrency, probably go for Monero because it's privacy coin. So you simply can't be identified. And that, again, it isn't because you want to do anything bad, actually, because you think about money, fiat currency, you've got like a dollar paper note or British £10 note, 10 quid sort of thing, or coins. So I give you this £10 note, right? And you just give me whatever for, I'll give you a tenner, as it were. No one monitors that. That's not tracked. I've just pulled out a £10 note, £20 note, whatever, or dollars, $10, and said, here we go. You give me something, that you sold me. If you're a business, then obviously you keep a record of what you sold for your own sake, so you know what your inventory is. But if you're a private individual or whatever, you give me this item that I bought off you, and no, it's not tracked, is it? So Monero is the electronic version of actual money, whereas Bitcoin set out to be that. But no, it's not private enough. But Monero have done that, and there's a few other privacy coins as well you can look into. The whole point is it's electronic, and it's the same as cash in that sense that, here's a tenner, you give me whatever, whether you're a business or a private person. So that's really what we're looking for. We do not want central bank digital currencies because they'll track your every move. Even if they had the best of intentions, they would not be able to resist it. It would be the lure of being able to track every transaction too much. They can tax you then, take money off you. They can stop your bank account with this central bank digital currency. You say the wrong things, they can soon stop you by stopping your money or reducing it. You get fined or something. Complete control of you. You want to eat, well, okay, well, you better do as you're told then. So if they start that, we don't want that. So I would say non-compliance. You've got to use cash. In what they call fiat currency. That's what we are using now. Dollars, pounds. The physical currency. So really, it's actually a case for pulling the money out of the bank and using cash, so it gets forced. And in Britain, there's quite a bit of that going on. I think people are resisting. There's a big lot of resistance in Britain. So you see, you see a lot of normies about it, but there's massive resistance. I mean, during the lockdowns, there was 1 million people in Trafalgar Square, central London. The media said a small handful, because they lie. They don't want that out. And there's huge protests. I'm trying to think, where was it? Was it Czechoslovakia or somewhere? Well, if that even exists now. It's one of those kind of countries, Eastern Europe. And pictures of yesterday, whole city centre packed with people protesting about the energy crisis, and the bills going out of control for electricity. There's, in Denmark, there's massive, I think it's Denmark, or is it somewhere like that, and there's massive protests, Netherlands, of farmers, because they're being taken out. The government has taken them out by not letting them use nitrogen fertilizers. That destroys their businesses. They're taken out, so they've got tractors, they're hitting towns, massive protest. It's almost like a war against the government going on there, and media hardly a word, and if they do, handful of irate farmers who probably say they're far right extremists, when it never are. You're quite hard. I mean, I know they exist, but honestly, you'd be hard put to find them. The amount of people they say are all far right extremists aren't. The actual ones. I think you'd have to go a long way to find them. Actually, I know you got like Ku Klux Klan and that. I mean, you've got to find them. I mean. But who cares? The establishment doesn't care about that. It just wants to label people and demonize them. Perfectly decent people. So, it's you do something they don't like, they'll call you a far right extremist. If you say something that is perfectly reasonable, actually true, often you still get doctors. That spoke out about the lethal injections and the whole thing. Yeah, I mean, they're as good as being called far-right extremists. No, not really. They're just talking about, the numbers are really bad, for those alleged vaccinations when they're not. There's kids dying, injured. There's a lot of people there's the yellow card reports in Britain, the VAERS in America is shocking, so it's shocking. And, yeah, I mean, it's so, it's unbelievable. A lot of people know. I mean, where people have had, people, loved ones that have died and all that, they're well aware. But some people haven't. I mean, I don't know anyone personally, so it just seems like, who knows? But there's just huge reports of it. You just see it, hear stories everywhere, and and yet they get demonized. Doctors who, like Dr. Peter McCullough, the amount of peer-reviewed articles he'd got, in medical science is just unbelievable. But spoke out, gets demonized. And yet he was so respected, unbelievably well respected. But as soon as he spoke out about all this, boom. Britain, Dr. Vernon Coleman, who's in his 80s, he spoke out early on, completely demonised, and on Wikipedia they even took away that he was actually a GP, general practitioner, doctor in Britain. It's like he wasn't, and they just say he's a conspiracy theorist. They don't say the man was a doctor and he was also a TV doctor and in the media a lot, writing articles. Didn't mention any of that anymore. It's gone. I'll wipe it away because he's saying the wrong things, you know. So yeah. I mean, honestly, it's beyond any kind of belief. But anyway, you know. So yeah. Anyway, so would I start with being a bit bored? You know, let's kick up some action. See how easy it will be to do if I do. I'm going to, because you know I just sort of, yeah, I mean, I'm just getting a bit bored, so yeah, I'm going to. So we'll see what happens. All right, well, I'll see you later.